Welcome to the GSMC Pets Podcast, the show that caters to pet lovers of all kinds. We'll talk about pets on social media, pets doing amazing things, and how to take care of the pets in your life. Whether your pet is a dog, a cat, a llama, hamster, reptile, or something more exotic, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Pets Podcast.
Howdy, and thank you for tuning into the GSMC Pets Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Sam, and of course, Eisen, my little co-host, is hanging around, just kind of playing guard cat, actually. So, he may or may not be present, but he is with me in spirit. So today, we are going to be talking about something that, is kind of close to my heart now, and just kind of something that has really grown for me as an individual, and that is going to be like adopting senior pets. Because everyone is very obsessed with they're puppy crazy or they're kitten crazy. And well, it totally makes sense because they're adorable. It really is. But that kind of leads to the problem of how shelters or rescues are full of elderly pets, senior pets. So I really wanted to talk about that today and, just kind of put a call to action for you guys if you are looking for a pet. And I want to say just some things that would really make you really consider why you would want to have a senior pet, not senior dog, all seniors. So let's take a moment and talk about it. So now, the first thing I really want to talk about is how what you see is what you get when you get an older pet, senior pets. And, let's start with my own experience with my 3 animals right now. So, Reggie is the youngest, of course. We got her when she was 4 months old, and she has grown up so much. And her personality has just kind of started developing, and after she was spayed, she got kind of very extra. So, yeah, we had to really start accommodating for her just growing up. And at this point, she's a year and a few months old now, but she's still having her personality to start developing and really starting to get set in stone, because she's already had her spay appointment when she was a few months old, and she has been experiencing a stable life at our house. However, there are times when she just kind of has this burst of energy that you can't really predict, and it's something that really causes a lot of frustration in our household, especially when she just instantly wants to play. It's like a little light switch that, just gets flicked on and then off. It's a very overwhelming kind of situation that we're still kind of working through. And, I imagine that a lot of new pet owners, especially if they get a puppy, that is a reality that you have. You have to make sure that you're consistent with the training, especially when it comes to housebreaking them and making sure that, you give them regular exercise because, let's face it, if we're looking at Cookie and Eisen, they're older. Eisen is 13, Cookie's 14, and, they both just kind of like chilling for the most part. Sometimes Cookie gets very playful, and she has to be in a separate room with us and no Reggie involved. And Eisen, he's in his little bachelor pad down here. and he just kind of likes, cuddling up whenever we're around. And just, we know what to expect with Eisen and Cookie. Cookie sometimes, gets a little bit mad sometimes, but, that's expected. We know what exactly triggers her. So, and it's the same thing with Eisen. Like, if he gets irritable, there are going to be a few things that we know we should check for. And just kind of, for us, we know what to expect with Eisen the most out of all the pets. It's because, well, we've had him for such a long time, and, well, again, we know his meows, what they mean. We kind of spend a little bit of time just letting him just do what he wants. He's very content with napping and just maybe being brave sometimes and going upstairs. But yeah, overall he has his needs, and we try to accommodate that because, well, we know him. We know what he needs. Now with Cookie, like, we are at a disadvantage because we haven't had her as long, but she still is a senior, which means that, well, she has things that are very consistent with her. Like, for instance, Cookie does not like eating food for the most part, up until dinner time. So she will not eat anything at all until nighttime. So we give her her food, she eats sometimes, and yes, she's a bit of a difficult dog, but we know what to expect from her. Now, we know that we have to give her, like, her food plus water inside of it because she won't eat it. She won't eat certain little pieces because she doesn't like the taste of them, I think. But we spend a good amount of time because we know that she will eventually eat the food. But yeah, for Reggie in particular, we put out food for her, and like most of the day she doesn't eat it. Sometimes she eats it very fast, and I am very concerned whenever she eats too fast, honestly. She has done that a lot, and she starts to choke, and that makes me scared. But with Cookie, we know her personality. She is a jerk, and she likes to be pampered, and she likes to sleep a lot. And she's sometimes active. She loves her little walks, but we know exactly what to expect from Cookie because her temperament is like set in stone. I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I can definitely say that with her, at least, because I've tried training her, and her own little personality is like, nope, I just want the treats, and then I want to go lay down, and then I'm going to sleep on your pillows and make it all stinky. So we know that's what we get from Cookie. For Eisen, like, we know his personality, as I said. He is a very chill man. He likes his food, and he doesn't really have a tendency to lash out at all. And that's been like throughout his life. But he will give like little bats with his paw when he needs us to do something for him. So overall, like, we know what to expect from these two. Regina is still like growing up. I mean, I'm trying to remember, like, when was my personality set in stone and I became the person who I am today? And to be honest, I was kind of older where I got a very good sense of who I was. And I imagine that goes the same for other animals. And just kind of like another example of a dog that I knew and dog sat for. He was 14 years old. He was a miniature poodle, and his name was Nicky. And we knew what to expect from him. He was like on the clock, basically, with his needs to go into the bathroom when he ate. He was content with what we were doing for him because, well, it matched up with what works. And the really big thing, and I think I've said this before, if not, well, I've been thinking about it a lot, like, animals need consistency, and senior dogs and senior cats definitely need that consistency, or, well, it just kind of disrupts the momentum of their day. So I would say that for the most part, like, the great thing about this set temperament that they have and set personality that they have, well, it removes any mystery that kind of circulates pets in general. So, like, they can definitely settle with the home environment, and they just know how to, I'm not really sure if I could say they know how to adapt, but they do adapt quite easily. And for puppies and kittens like Regina, well, Regina's not a kitten, obviously, but for Regina, she is still learning about the world around her, and she's still trying to figure out what exactly she really wants and how she signals things to us. Because, again, she's still learning. Kind of like my husband and I were watching the Jurassic Park movies. I think it was day before yesterday. And, well, I just kind of think about how the velociraptors are kind of like Reggie, to be honest. She's a clever girl, and she really starts processing things as you're trying to train her, and you know she's trying to figure something out, but unfortunately, that's where it stops for a bit, and then she kind of works on instinct. So, a lot of things, it's like general practice for your dog or cat or chinchilla, whichever. There's a lot of practice that goes into, like, helping your pet become who they are. And, well, for senior pets, a lot of the legwork is done for the most part. Like, they know who they are at this point. They know what they want. And they'll start adapting based on how they're treated, and they'll find ways to, start signaling things. Like, Regina still struggles with signaling that she needs to go use the bathroom. And we've gotten better about it. I was telling you about the bell that she rings for us. Like, she does that quite well, but she also starts sending mixed messages. So she's hitting the bell, she's barking at us, she's like, kind of batting at us with her paw, all that kind of stuff. And it's just, you have too many things coming together, and she's just kind of mixing up all the things that we trained for her, because she knows that at some point, her doing all these things, well, it'll get her what she wants. So she's still in the process of learning how to ask to use the bathroom in a very consistent manner. And at some point, this kind of set in stone, she'll know what we best respond to, and then she'll, start settling down, and we'll start seeing that developing personality, that knowingness and confidence that we have, that she has for herself. And this little puppy is very confident in herself. It's more of just the messaging that she is providing that needs a little bit of assistance there. But anyway, we are going to take a brief break, and we're going to talk more about, like, the manners that senior pets have. And, well, then after that, there'll be a lot of interesting things about demands and just kind of how to continue to really create a good environment for your senior pet. But anyway, we'll be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
right, we are back, and we were just talking about how you know what you're getting when you adopt a senior pet, whereas with, one that is still young and, well, basically a baby or a puppy, like, you don't know quite yet what their personality is like or how they'll be reacting to the world around them. So that is a very big thing that you can use when you're deciding to go into the shelter or a rescue and see, like, what these senior pets have to offer for you personality-wise. Now, we are going to move on and talk about something that I think that we all kind of think about when it comes to, like, what kind of pet you want or how old you want your pets to be. And that would be, like, well, what are their manners? And it kind of, leads into this entire, well, what is their temperament kind of deal. But just sometimes older pets have better manners than our little ones, right? Because, well, little dogs, as I was talking about with Regina, is like she's not completely house trained. She's still struggling with that. If I had adopted an older dog, then there's a very strong possibility that they were familiar, at least familiar with just going and signaling that they needed to go to the bathroom. Regina's still working on that, as I said last segment. And, well, same thing with, like, leash manners. Regina has gotten so much better about it, but it took a lot of time to, like, start training her into getting used to, like, the leash. And she used to bite on it a lot, and we had to find ways to prevent her from doing that. Now, for Cookie, I just have to say that her previous owners did not really train her very much. I'm pretty sure that Cookie was just a little dog to have around and to, put on your lap because, Cookie is cute. But Cookie does not have very good manners when it comes to just leash training in general. Like, well, at least when we first put on her leash, onto our harness, like, she will be hopping around because she's so excited, and then she'll start biting at the leash, and, well, she then starts getting tangled up in it because she gets so excited. Funny thing is that Reggie has become far better at handling the leash than Cookie has. So, in that sense, we have good manners on the puppy, and then bad manners for the senior. And I guess that's one thing that you also have to kind of look out for, because not all senior pets have good manners. It's totally dependent upon the previous owners, or even if they had owners prior to them. Because, well, just the idea of an older dog is like, or an older cat is like, oh, they probably have been trained to go outside, to use the bathroom. My senior cat might be, litter box trained, and, well, maybe they just kind of know how to wait for their food, be patient, that kind of stuff. But most of the time, unfortunately, including abuse and mistreatment, that really shapes how they start really finding their place at home. And, also, how do they interact with family and just routine, like, all these things you need to have, like, prior sometimes, so that your senior pet is able to, well, thrive in your household. And, again, the very unfortunate thing is that sometimes, like, senior pets don't have that kind of training, so you can't assume that basically all senior pets have good manners, because, well, I've seen some older dogs that really do not have manners at all. And here's looking at you, Cookie. But yeah, Cookie likes to bark so much, and she tries to chase after cars when she's on her leash and we're giving her a walk. So those are things that you would have thought at a young age she would have learned, don't do that. But we can't really I'm not saying Cookie is not trainable anymore. She's just very difficult to train. And I have to say that there was this one time when I finally got her to sit on command, and it never happened again. So all of this kind of stuff, like, you know, even when it comes to food with Cookie, like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but she, before she came to us, she lived in Kentucky. She was kept in the backyard of her previous owner's daughter, I believe. And for a period of time, she didn't have food. So that was a very scary thing. Like, you need to feed your pets, or you need to feed the animal that you're taking care of. But now I imagine that this is very much so connected to her thing about eating. She kind of like hoards her food, and at some points it's not very nice how she does it. And she also tries to like hoard Eisen's food too, and also Regina's food, because, well, she's used to this entire thing where, hey, there might be a time period where I don't have food. What about that? And, you know, just kind of the manners that she has, like, you know, she's kind of causing conflict whenever she starts taking other pets' food, pretty much. Eisen definitely doesn't like it. Regina, well, she's a bigger girl, so she can make Cookie, like, walk away, but Regina is actually pretty polite when she does that. She doesn't have any issues with being territorial with her food, but Cookie is very much so. Like, we give her a treat, and she goes into her hiding place, and eventually Regina will be like, oh, well, you have a treat, let me have that treat. And Cookie will just get so mad, and, you know, it just kind of gets into this little barking match between them. And I understand why Cookie behaves that way. And a part of me, I wish that she had not endured that kind of treatment when she was, like, not even like a year ago. My gosh. Actually, it's going to be coming up a year very soon. But yeah, just you expect, just in general, when you adopt a senior pet, that they have learned a lot of manners from their previous owners. Now, when I talk about Rhodey, his previous owners said that he was kennel trained. That dog was not kennel trained. Definitely not. He hated the kennel, and he made it known to everyone. So, just, you can't always expect the previous owners to have given the best treatment or the best training, pretty much. Because, well, people are human, and honestly, I don't want to be mean, but sometimes there are people that just should not have pets on their own. And I think about, like, all the little kids that ask for, you know, a puppy, or their parents give them a puppy for Christmas or a birthday. And then, well, what happens after that? Parents rely on the kids to take care of this animal, or the parents end up taking care of them, and sometimes they might just be a little bit bitter about that. So there's a lot of give and take in this kind of relationship when it comes to, like, developing your pet's manners, because, hey, let's face it too, you can apply this exactly with a child. Like, you know that you have to develop the child's manners, or when they get older, they're not going to be a very pleasant person to be around, let's be honest. And I don't know very much about, like, the adoption area, but just, you also kind of get that experience with, like, okay, their history is, well, maybe not the best, and that has kind of informed how they behave and how they respond to you as a foster parent, basically. So it really depends on, again, treatment prior to it. Because if they have great treatment, they're probably going to have some good manners. But if not, well, it's going to be a bit of a learning process for everyone. Because again, you don't expect that kind of stuff, and you hope you never have to face that kind of thing, because it is hard. But anyway, I am going to let you guys go so that we can enjoy the commercial break, and then we're going to be talking about how senior pets are actually not as demanding as, baby pets and puppies and kittens, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
So we were just talking about manners and how senior pets tend to have better manners, hopefully, based on their history of pet owners, or maybe the non-existence of pet owners. So I really wanted to start talking more about, how these senior pets are less demanding. And right off the bat, I'll say most pets, like Eisen, most pets that are not Eisen's age, maybe ranging from kitten to young adult, they wouldn't be able to just sit and hang out with me for an extended period of time. Eisen does not. The only thing that Eisen has done since I have been recording with him hanging around me is, when he wants his food, which usually kind of lines up at a particular point in time, he will start asking for pets and nudging me and all that kind of stuff. So aside from that, he is not very demanding. So, he has set routines. Cookie has set routines. As I said, Cookie only eats once a day, pretty much. But, just Eisen to a T. He basically has a routine of when he's going to go ahead and eat. And if we're off that routine, then he gets frustrated. And then that's when he becomes very demanding. But overall, sure, Eisen likes to play. He's older though, so he gets kind of lazy when it comes to play. But, he will mostly just kind of hang out and sit and cuddle and just kind of take a nap. As of right now, he's on his yellow blanket and he's just kind of enjoying just being near a person for the most part. Now, when it comes to Regina, she is she is all about, hey, I want to play now. I want to play now. I want to play right now. Oh, I also need to go use the bathroom. Can I go use the bathroom? Oh, wait, no, I didn't hold it, so there's my mess. So there's a lot when it comes to Regina that we have to just start, being very, very watchful, vigilant when it comes to what she wants and needs. So she demands so much more energy than Eisen or Cookie. The first month or so that we had Reggie, at work, my coworkers were like, Sam, you look really tired, but you also look really happy. And I would say, oh my gosh, Regina is she's wearing me out. So I was extremely tired when she was just a puppy. And she's gotten older now, just a little older. And already you can see like a huge difference in how demanding she is, but she's still quite demanding. At this point, though, I feel like I have enough energy to keep up with her, because puppy Regina was, I don't want to say a monster, but she was definitely a little brat. And she's still a brat, but it's not as much as a brat as she was when she was like 4, 5, 6 months old. Now, to Cookie, she doesn't have many demands. Honestly, like if she... what is her demand? One of the major things that she wants and pretty much demands is that she sleeps with us for bedtime. And whenever we try to keep her from coming into the bedroom, because we don't really want pets in our bedroom all the time, well, she will squeeze her way in through the door crack, and then she will hop up onto my side of the bed, and she'll settle on some of my pillows, and then she's out like a light bulb. So, just kind of thinking about that, like, just, they have a lot of things that they want, what they need, and mostly, kind of like, it's focused on what do they want. Because, well, sometimes Cookie can be active, but it's a very rare time when that happens. And we have to separate her from Regina so Regina doesn't take over the play. So we take Cookie into our bedroom and we play with her. But, but she doesn't do that very often. She's, again, very content with finding places to, like, hide and sleep, pretty much. And honestly, I feel that. I really do. Sometimes I just want to, like, go into a little hidey place with a pillow and a blanket and just stay there for an extended period of time. Like, sometimes I wish for days and days and days where someone is just kind of pushing food in my direction and I take it and then I'm happy. So, yeah, it's just kind of easier with older animals. Like, again, as I said, Eisen and Cookie, like, I can fit their demands into my daily life. We have set routine for them so that they do get their demands answered, pretty much. So Eisen will definitely be like, hey, I want to play, guys, and he will play for an extended period of time, but usually after 10 minutes he's done. And like Regina, when she was a very genuine puppy, like, there was so much that you had to put into it. There's like a huge combination of, well, training them to be a pet with good manners, and then, in addition to that, you have to train them to have, well, you're not even trained, you have to have fun with them, and you have to kind of do the basic stuff that you would do for a pet, but then you have those extra things that you are responsible for. And I don't think many people really think about that when they get a younger animal. Like, to be honest, when I was younger, we, in my family, well, we were starting to talk about, hey, maybe we can get a dog. And we got this dog, and I feel so bad about it, but I think that my parents, or my dad in particular, was, wanted to give it a try with this one dog. She was 9 months old, and just, the kids were not prepared to take care of a 9-month-old puppy because, well, we had homework and we had extracurriculars, and, me and my siblings, we did a lot with school, and, like, just, we couldn't keep up with that balancing act. And, well, then, because this dog wasn't getting her demands met, she started acting out. So naturally, if a dog, like, nips at a kid, well, like a kindergartner, like, your family is going to be a little bit concerned. And unfortunately, we had to give her back to the shelter, which was, as I start, whenever I think about just my history with pets, I feel very much so guilty about pets that we had, when I was a child, and how my parents kind of handled that. Because my mom is definitely not a pet person. She will love on the animals, but I'm not really sure what she is when it comes to, like, living with a pet. Because she can let the dogs out, and she can feed the animals, but she wants nothing to do with any additional demands. Like, if she were to come and live with me right now, she would not be training Regina to do different tricks. I know my mom is not going to be like that. My dad, well, I think he likes dogs just kind of like to love on, I think. Or at least when we had our other family dog, Jade. And, Jade was a toy poodle, just like Cookie. And, well, from my dad, Jade was a dog that you kept on your lap and you gave it love, fed it, just kind of let it live a life of leisure. And, well, that means that there was, like, a little demand for that, though. One of the major things that I do recall is that her behavior, like, was signaling that she was demanding to have, chews around the house. But for some reason, my parents never went and got chews for her, for instance. So she would start chewing on different parts of our house. For instance, like the windowsill, in the living room. She just kind of chewed away at that sill, and I just remember that in particular. I even remember catching her doing it, and it's just like, well, I don't know what to do with pets. I'm still learning what to do with myself, because I think I was like in 6th grade or something like that when that happened. But yeah, just if you don't meet the needs of your pets, and you're not focusing on their demands, well, there's going to be, some acting out from your pets. So, just kind of pushing again for, older pets in general, like, you won't have to really worry about, your senior pet, like, chewing up something that you like, unless they were given, like, poor manners, pretty much. Or, like, cats, for the most part, when they want to get something to eat. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard, like, stories of pet owners, cat owners in particular, where the cat is, like, chewing on plastic or on wires and stuff. So, I mean, basically, to prevent those bad behaviors, you need to make sure that you're paying attention to the demands of your pet. And that becomes so much easier when you have a senior pet. There's a lot of juggling around when it comes to, like, the younger pets for that. So, anyway, I guess we're going on another commercial break. And I wanted to go ahead and just kind of say that we are going to talk about, like, how the senior pets are basically old enough to know better, but they are also young enough to learn still. So, we'll be back right after this commercial break.
Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news.
Welcome back, and we were just talking about how for senior pets they have less demands than younger pets, just in general, to be honest. And that's not like a hard and fast rule. Sometimes there's going to be kind of exceptions to that idea of needing less from the owners if that makes any sense. So I wanted to talk now about how maybe you have a pet, like a senior pet, that is usually, it usually knows better than whatever bad behavior does. But, in reality, they could very well relearn things. And I mean, it kind of goes into, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. For some dogs, that is very true. Cookie does not like to be trained at all. I told you about her sitting problem and how I got her to sit only once out of 15 minutes of trying to get her to sit on command. But okay, that's neither here nor there. But for most pets, senior pets in particular, they are old enough to know better. And, well, they're actually young enough to learn. Basically I'm going to talk about Rhodey. Because I think that, well, I had him long enough that I can, definitely put things together now. But yeah, Rhodey was, man, what tricks did we teach him? Oh yeah, the marshmallow trick. So for a period of time, Rhodey had to have blood pressure medicine, and he couldn't have peanut butter anymore. I think I mentioned this before. But yeah, he knew that he had to take this pill with some sort of food. So he adapted quite well with the peanut butter, but then we had to switch over to the marshmallows. So that was when he was about 8 years old when he started that. Yeah, he was getting up there, I think. But he started to, really accept the marshmallow and the medicine, together. And then I figured, well, why not make this fun for the both of us? So I would stick the medicine into the marshmallow, and then over the next few weeks, while, in the morning and at night, I would, toss it so he could catch it. And, well, again, he was an older dog, but the thing was, he was young enough to learn that, because, any chance that he got, unless he was feeling particularly lazy or he wasn't particularly feeling as well as he could be, he would, just let me drop the marshmallow after letting it hit his face. So, yeah, there are sometimes really clear commands that your senior animal might know. Again, for Rhodey, aside from the kennel stuff, we could tell him to go away or go to bed. And that was one of the first things that we realized he knew for a fact. So he knew that basic command, so we were able to kind of apply that to other parts of our lifestyle. He wasn't allowed in the kitchen, so he just kind of would be away from us, and especially after we told him to go to bed or go lie down, he knew what he needed to do. But again, it's just, these are the foundations. And usually you would hope that previous owners set that foundation for a dog. And then if for some reason they had to surrender them, the pet would have basically just kind of a general understanding of what a pet owner wants from them, if that makes sense. Now, Eisen, I don't really know what to say there. He's been with us we had him when he was a kitten, so we basically did a lot of training on his part, that, kind of started building the blocks for him. And, if we had to, and this is an awful feeling, but in the past, if we had to surrender him, well, we knew that he had the groundworks of being, an excellent cat for any future owner that he may have had. But alas, he is with us, and he's still fantastic and beautiful and just obedient. But we could actually still train him on stuff. We are able to get him to sit. I got him to sit pretty a few weeks ago. And we were also leash training him, as I had mentioned before. But at some point, you also have to be very intentional about how you train your pets, especially when they're at an older age, because, well, sometimes they just don't want to, because it goes back to, well, oh, I'm old, I'm tired, I just want to sit back into retirement and not even worry about, well, do I have to catch this treat in midair, or do I have to ring a bell if I have to use the bathroom, that kind of stuff. And I'll go ahead and say that Cookie does not ring the bell for the bathroom. So, again, she's just, I don't care. If you guys go out, I will follow you out, and that'll be it. Like, she doesn't make it into, like, a big thing unless she absolutely has to go, and she's cuddling with me, and she'll start patting me with her paw, and sometimes scratching me with her little claws. But, yeah, not even, like, through, like, intentional training, there's going to be, things that your pets will start to learn on their own. For instance, like for Cookie, she knows, and I know if she's, patting at me or scratching at me, well, she needs to go outside. And we both have that understanding. So when I see that, or when I see Cookie doing that to my husband, like I have to, cause he's not really, very well in tune with Cookie sometimes. When she's scratching at him, like I have to like say, hey, she needs to go out. But again, you don't have to specifically intentionally train your pets at times because, well, I would imagine, and this kind of goes into like the intelligence of your pets and how trainable they are, but from what I've seen with like really trainable dogs or cats, well, they start adapting different behaviors that they have or different skills that they have, and then you see them doing what they need to do. So, I mean, just kind of like a big thing, like, honestly, when it, like for grooming in particular, like, it was honestly a learning experience for us where we had to learn, okay, Cookie is old, she does not like to be touched in certain ways, so brushing her is going to be a very difficult situation because she doesn't want it, she doesn't even want to learn how to sit still with it, she does not want to be trimmed because, well, it bothers her, she doesn't like the noise, all that kind of stuff. So, in that case, like, we could put in the effort to train her, but at this point, I don't know if we could actually train her train her well on that because, well, she's very resistant to it. And it always goes back to, it's not all about you. If your dog does not want to do something, you don't make them do something. So when it comes to our attempts at grooming her, like, we have a bag of treats for her, and then it's a very slow process, to be honest. But yeah, just kind of, for Cookie in particular, she is not really a fast learner, but she's she's quite old. Same thing with Eisen, but there's like a different trainability level for them. So, for Cookie in particular, there's a lot that you have to really pay attention to because, well, yeah, sure, she's old enough to know better, but somehow in her past, she wasn't challenged enough, and she refuses to learn, pretty much. But when it comes to Eisen, absolutely, he will know that he shouldn't be doing something, but he'll do it anyway. And then that goes into like training him and making sure that he knows what not to do. So we're still working on the wires thing for him. But yeah, just kind of a really interesting dynamic that you have when it comes to older animals. Like they know better. They've been around. So it's basically going into and challenging and setting yourself as like the leader of the house, the head of house, pretty much. If you don't set that up, well, then you have Reggie running around and, ruining shoes, biting, tearing clothes, all that kind of stuff. And you don't want that. So basically, if you get a senior pet, you want to make sure that it's clear who is in charge. But anyway, I think that we can take another break and, well, then we're going to start talking about how senior dogs are actually quite good for certain ages. But for now, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be right back.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. We were just talking about how senior pets know better because they're older, but then also they are young enough to learn new things. So in my household, we have Eisen that's very willing to learn new things. Cookie, not so much. So now I want to talk about, well, how senior pets are actually great for any age. And this is like a generalization, but because there are some exceptions to this, depending on the personality of the pet. But yeah, senior pets are great for any age. And when I say this, I'm mostly thinking about, who was it? Oh, my husband's pet cat. Well, the family cat that they had. His name was Kiki. And Kiki was just kind of an independent cat that would walk around, and he would eat basically all the food pretty much. But when it came to any of the family members that came in, because there was a lot of family going in and out of his parents' house, there were a lot of kids, and they would, pet Kiki, and then Kiki would enjoy it, and then he'd go off and just kind of do his own thing. So for Kiki, he had a great ability to just kind of socialize with kids, and then he'd show his boundaries, and then he'd go. Now, when it comes to other older dogs, it might not be as great for kids. Like, I have a coworker who has a toy poodle, actually, and his name is Jacob, and Jacob only likes my coworker. She has a grandson that Jacob really liked, and then as Jacob got, a year older, he then did not like the grandchild. So he's actually up for adoption because there is a living situation that needs to change there. So, hey, if anyone's looking for a toy poodle that has an attitude, just let me know. But yeah, sometimes, as I said, sometimes there are senior pets that just are real curmudgeons to anyone. And just, for the most part, the temperaments are generally good, and then also just, they are, as I said, less demanding. So it kind of adds into this, ideal age for a lot of people, because, well, older people, well, they're not going to have that energy. Well, that's a generalization. For the elderly, they might have some difficulties meeting the needs of a puppy, for instance. But if they had a senior dog or senior cats, well, the energy level is much lower than that of a puppy kitten, just a baby, pretty much. So it just kind of falls back into, well, what are the demands, and can people that are planning to adopt, can they meet that demand? And it's much easier for a senior pet rather than, a baby pet for the most part. So kids can actually really benefit from older pets because, well, older pets are generally more tolerant, and hopefully they've been like well socialized with younger pets, or maybe they've had like an experience of just learning and taking in the environment. And you know what? I'll go ahead and start talking about this dog that was before Jade, but also was a puppy still. Well, my parents had young kids. Like, my brother was still in middle school, I was still in middle school, and my sister had just, is just kind of getting used to the idea of, like, going through the schooling system, the education system, because she was, like maybe second grade or something like that. So, like, there was too much, energy and self-exploration for the kids in the household, and then you throw in a little puppy in there, and, well, it's kind of chaos. Well, yeah, it is kind of chaos. So when you kind of go into, well, what would be a good pet? Well, you want to make sure that you have low energy pets when it comes to, like, when you have younger kids, because, well, I would say it kind of balances out the energy levels there, or just kind of maybe shuts it down, because, well, the kids might start something, but the senior pet is not going to really be interested in, like, coming up to that challenge, really, unless, like, it's something that they really like. So, all of that said, I mean, I could say that maybe it's best for parents to wait, even with a senior pet, because, again, like, there's so many demands of, like, kids, and then also the pets, and also, like, a financial thing too. But, that's a different talk. But, yeah, I would even say that for couples that live together and they like to travel a lot, well, for one thing, they probably should really kind of consider if having a pet is a good idea in that case, or maybe they are able to take their pets on these trips or something. But yeah, for people that are very active, sometimes senior pets are maybe a good option too. Unless you are a very active person that likes to go out and, enjoy nature or something like that. I don't know if a senior pet would be up for that, per se. But, maybe like older puppies to young adults and adults would be an ideal dog for, an ideal pet for those very active individuals. So, I mean, yeah, I keep on thinking, and, like, puppies seem like a very big, I don't even know how to say it. Puppies are a big responsibility. Some of my, like a couple that we know that is, that have, like, their own toddler and a dog, like, they basically said, like, okay, puppies and kittens, puppies in particular are, like, practice babies. And while I am kind of not into the idea of having kids right now, well, I can understand marginally what they're talking about, because I'm going to be honest, I think that there is probably a lot more work with a baby. So, anyway, it's just kind of, you don't want to stack all those different levels of energy into your life, especially if you don't think you can really keep up with it. And that's honestly the sad thing that happens. Like, sometimes people get the pets and then they aren't really able to meet the demands of what being a pet owner, what being a good pet owner would be. And a lot of that can be fixed with, like, senior pets, or, like, small dogs, but those still really need, like, the same attention as bigger, younger dog. But yeah, just kind of thinking on that, it was just, I have really realized a lot of stuff about, just ages of pets when it comes to like adoptions and stuff. Like, I can definitely say that when it comes to Cookie sleeping in our bed, like, she will just go in there and she will be knocked out, and she won't really cause many problems. But if we invited Reggie to bed, well, there'd be a lot of tossing and turning, and she's a big girl too. But she would kind of make things a little bit disruptive because, well, she's like roaming around a lot of the time. So she just has that energy that, just kind of disrupts the calm sometimes. And I love this little girl to death, but she does disrupt calmness. And, well, I'm a very zen person, so that is something that I've had to get used to a lot when it comes to taking care of Reggie and just being the best owner that I can be, the best pet parent I could be. But she'll get there. I can't wait till she gets older, though. That energy is just so exhausting, and I just don't know what to say about it. Gosh, I just kind of want, though, to really have people really consider senior pets, because, well, they're actually really, really sweet, and I've always enjoyed the calmer demeanor of them. Like, again, Eisen. Come on, he is like super calm. Yes, I'm talking about you, buddy. But we are going to go on our final break, and, well, I'm going to talk about ducks again. And, well, just kind of my obsession with ducks, pretty much, because they're amazing. But I'll hold off on that, and we will take our brief break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. And, well, I was just talking about how great senior dogs are for different age groups. And, well, just always going to make my case, like, definitely consider a senior dog because, well, or a senior cat, whatever. Sorry, I'm thinking of Rhodey, and Cookie. But, yeah, senior pets are a great way for you to really have a more flexible life in that sense. There are, of course, going to be some obstacles that you'll face, and, maybe, definitely some heartbreak towards the end, that really happens almost suddenly, it feels like. But that's just kind of a reality of just adopting pets in general. But anyway, let's talk about these ducks. So, I was at the Kroger the other day, and I found, well, I usually kind of walk around to find, like, different things, like, especially since, the school here has ended for us, I am stuck at home, because also the lockdown is kind of, like, lifting a little bit, but I'm still very distrustful of all of this. But, so one of the things that I get to do, either I go to the pharmacy, which is like a 2-minute drive from my place. Well, barely 2 minutes. But then there is also the Kroger that I go to, just to be near people while I'm wearing masks, but not really being too close to people because, well, again, social distancing. But anyway, I walk around the pharmacy or the Kroger, and I just kind of look around at stuff just to get out of the house. My gosh. But yeah, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I can't really remember, I was walking around Kroger and I found their little for sale, like the sales that they have for, well, just the discounted stuff that hasn't been bought and they're trying to move the product. Like, I saw a duck, like a wooden duck. It wasn't a mallard duck. I definitely can't say what kind of duck it was because it was, just kind of a wooden duck that was like painted black and it had like white little spots on it. And the second I see duck stuff, I have to have it. And that's one of the things that my husband gets quite frustrated with because I'm like, oh, it's a duck. It belongs in our house. And then we have to figure out, where does the duck go? So I kind of wanted to get to this story about why I'm so fascinated by ducks and how much I really like them. So honestly, my first experience with a duck was not a good one, to be honest, because I was like in first grade and my mom took us to like this park area and like she had bread and she was like giving it to us so we could feed the ducks, and then my mom started pushing me towards this one duck that seemed really mean, and he was a big boy, and like the duck started like flapping his wings at me and just was quacking really, really loudly, and it was kind of scary. For a first grader, it is definitely scary. And that was my first experience with ducks, or at least the one that I remember. And, well, for a period of time, I did not like birds, because like a few years later, after that one experience, like a pelican pooped on me. So, did not make me really like birds altogether. But then, I moved up to the Midwest, and I was living with my fiance, my husband, fiance at the time. And, well, we had a nice little apartment that kind of faced this little retention pond, which doesn't sound very appealing, but it was a nice little, man-made pond. And there would be like geese and ducks. I hated the geese because they were so freaking mean. But the ducks, they were very nice and sweet, and they would just kind of swim around. And then they like dunk themselves, like their top part of the body, and you'd see their little feet like kind of wavy in the air as they were trying to get something. And it was just something that's so relaxing to watch. And I don't really know what really struck me about it, but I just loved to watch them. They were calming, and they were nothing like the duck that, that was trying to attack me when I was little. But I will say that prior to that experience with ducks, I do remember that I had a real fascination with birds because, well, birds have a very different perception of the world, really. And I will admit, sometimes when I was a little kid, I definitely liked the idea of flying. And, well, ducks, birds, like, especially the colorful birds, I love those. But ducks seem to be the ones that seemed more present in my life, especially as I got older. And I never got to pet a duck, but I was, I would be relatively close to one, and they just hang out and be sweet and stuff. And, at our apartment complex that we lived when I first moved up to the Midwest, well, there were like plenty of ducks around, and like when spring came along, their little ducklings and also the goslings too, they would like come out and they'd follow their little parents, and it'd be so sweet, and it'd be like a little march around the this little cul-de-sac thing that we were at. It's not really a cul-de-sac, but it's just to kind of give you guys an idea. Like, it kind of was like that. But yeah, ducklings are so cute. And then again, I went to the state fair with my husband, and I had the grandest time just going through the poultry, the fowl, tent. Yeah, let's say tent. Yeah. But yeah, they had so many little ducklings and little chicks, and, I was just able to kind of just be close and watch them and just think about how adorable it is and how much I would probably suck at being a duck parent or a bird parent. But I sure did love looking at those ducks. But also, Eisen would probably, eat it. Yeah, probably eat it. If I ever were to get like a chick or a duckling or something. Because, well, Eisen likes to play with his food, pretty much. And, hey, ducklings are going to play with, are basically like the perfect target for him. So that's also another hang up for me, like getting a duck. But yeah, just in general, I grew up and this love for ducks kind of evolved. I mean, even on my own Twitter account, I follow this Twitter handle that's basically posting pictures, like the daily duck, essentially. So you see all kinds of ducks that are photographed, and then just you see it every single day, and it's always like a very nice thing to kind of check in on occasionally. I don't follow it as much anymore because, well, I am trying to take a step back on my personal life when it comes to any social media, and professionally I would just like to keep it in that little bubble, pretty much. So anyway, I do need to check out the pictures of ducks Twitter and just kind of scroll through them, because there are a lot of interesting looking ducks in the just anywhere, it feels like, and you don't realize how varied they can be. And that goes along with like basically anything. Like dogs are going to be varied, cats too, people, come on, people are always going to be different, and it's this need for individuality for humans. But then when it comes to like pets or animals, it's just how it is. And they are happy with what they have. So I think that's something that I actually really love about ducks. Like they look alike, like different types of ducks will look different, but they're still like just kind of a pride in themselves that I like to look at, and they just seem so sweet. And well, like also oh my gosh, I just remembered this, but this one time I was walking into a store and there were these two ducks just kind of hanging out and playing in a puddle, like right next to the store. And I just watched them for a while, and I got some pretty weird looks because of how much I loved it. But hey, a duck is a duck, and I really love ducks. So I definitely have to say that it's a wonderful experience for me to like just kind of see the ducks around. And in my current neighborhood that we're living in, we don't see many ducks because there's not really a source of water. But whenever I go down to the coffee shop or something, like 5 minutes away, there are geese. But again, I'm not really a fan of geese. But recently, like, you are seeing a ton of goslings just kind of following along with full-grown geese, and it's just something just very nice to watch. Except when it comes to geese, you keep your distance, because those things are jerks. But anyway, it looks like Eisen is finally waking up, and he seems to be a little bit agitated by something. Probably with me going on with the show without him. We'll just go ahead and say that. But anyway, I really wanted to thank you all for tuning into the GSMC Pets Podcast, and we were brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Please, oh please, I would love it if you guys checked out our Twitter, our Facebook, and our Instagram pages, just to see like all of our pet content. And then also, like, after you're done listening, hit subscribe and leave us a review. We'd love to hear what you have to say. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Please enjoy your night, and thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to the GSMC Pets Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.